Hello, you lot, how's it going? It's a lovely, absolutely beautiful Saturday afternoon. The sun is bloody shining. It feels like a proper summer's day, and spring hasn't really even thought about popping its head round the corner, and it's beautiful. Let's try and finish off this Talbot. Now, answer a few questions from the other video where I kind of partially bled it all. Yes, I'm fully aware about vacuum bleeding equipment. I got one somewhere in the garage. I might have to get it out and use it, possibly. But you shouldn't have to vacuum bleed these. They're always bloody tricky to bleed because they put the bleed things in the wrong... Well, it's not in the wrong way, it kind of is. It should be higher up. It should be the highest point. The bleed nipples should be at the highest point of the systems. But for some reason, they put it on top of the matrix. But it's not... Well, it kind of is the highest point, but... Well, anyway, it doesn't always work. A lot of the time, I find you have to keep on blipping the throttle, squeezing the hose, and get the air to come out. The reason... I think we had a bit of trouble before was because it's the driveway is on a bit of a slope facing backwards. So we're going to get it out on the road and see if we can bleed it all out and get it so the heater's actually hot. I do think that maybe the heater valve's had it again, but we'll find out. I've got a few little bits and bobs because I've got some easy start because I've got the air screw on the carburetor turned all the way in. Literally, it won't go no further in. It's shut off. But it still runs, and it runs really well. So there's possibly an air leak around that carburetor somewhere. So I've got some easy start, and the point of that is when it's running, I'm going to spray it around the carburetor. And if there's a leak, an air leak anywhere, I'll spray it all around any vacuum lines and everything like that. If we've got any air leaks, it will suck in the easy start, and the engine will rev up. And we'll know there is an air leak. Because it shouldn't really run very well at all with the air screw turned all the way in, because there shouldn't be enough air. It should be choking, it should be coughing and spluttering, it shouldn't be running very well, but it does. So there's something dicky there, but I can't complain. If it runs well with the screw turned in, I'll just keep the screw turned in, and there's no leaks. But if there's an air leak, we need to fix that. So yeah, happy days. Right, let's kind of get it done. I'm on bloody cloud 9 every day. You know when you wake up, right, you take a breath, you go, and you think, Jesus bloody Nazareth, I'm alive. And then you look out the window and you see the beautifulness outside and you think, this is absolutely amazing. Let's open up the bonnet and make sure that what we put in it last time, because I haven't touched it, I haven't done a single thing. Let's make sure that everything that we put in it last time is still in it and not leaked out. If it's leaked out, we've got to fix it. If it's still in it, happy days. Or you never know, an air bubble might have worked its way up over the couple of weeks that it's sat there. It's been a bit frosty most mornings, so it's possible that an air bubble's worked its way out and gone blop and come out the vent, because it's not a pressured system. It's got a vent on top of the thing. So let's go and have a look at that, shall we? Can't see any evidence of any leakage. Let's see. That was filled to the brim. It looks to me like it's still filled to the brim, so I reckon we're good there. We haven't got any leaks. Happy days. A little bit of destruction, by the way. We'll have to look at it later on, but we've had a massive catastrophic water leak during the last bit of rain, so we'll have a look at that in a little bit, but let's go. Let's wind down the old window. Oh, we're definitely in the summer now. Look at that. Jesus Christ. I wonder if it'll start with no choke. I know we're asking a lot. We'll try it. We'll see if it'll start with no choke. You never know. Ready? Nah. I was asking a bit much that for starting it with no choke. We'll give it a bit of choke. It will go in a minute. It will go in a minute. Choke all the way in. All the way in. And we're ticking over. So it's running a hell of a lot better. And it wouldn't start. The reason why it wouldn't start is because it's been over a week and the petrol evaporates out of the float bowl, and it's got a mechanical petrol pump on it, which means in order to get petrol to the carburetor or the float bowl, you have to turn the engine over, and it's slowly pumping it. It's a little bit weak on this engine, the pump is, but that's why it took a while to start. There's no petrol in the carburetor. Not because it wasn't, you know, it's because there's no petrol in the carburetor. People always say that, oh, it won't start straight away. It's because it's evaporated. Give it a bloody bit of time, for goodness sake. And now we just sit. Let's a bit of a dirty window, that. I need to sort that sprayer out again. That's kind of funny. Last time I washed it, it went all funny. I have to sort that out again. Now we just got to sit and wait for it to warm up, and then we can chuck a bit more in it and see what happens. Let's have a little spray. Oh yeah, we've got a big air leak. Yeah, we've got an air leak around there somewhere. So that carburetor's got to come off. That carburetor's definitely got to come off. I think it might be around there, I think. Yeah, around there. Down the bottom there, around that shaft. Interesting. There's a bit of a leak as well down there, look, on that hose. That can't be good. It weren't leaking last time, was it? Looks like it's leaking from the hose itself though. Have to fix that. I think I've fixed it. I've just done the Jubilee clip up a little bit and it seems to have stopped the leak there, I think. So we'll keep our eye on that. I put the whole rest of that can in and a bit more, and we should, in a minute now, the thermostat should begin to open. It's starting to rise. That should rise up and then go down again. Got a little bit coming out of there. Good old Amazon socket set mended that. At the moment, the bottom hose is only lukewarm, only slightly warm. Not even slightly warm, it's probably just not even warm at all really. But the top one is roasting, which is alright, it's not a problem. When the thermostat opens, that should go round and we should get all of it. That should happen in a minute. We're getting there. It's not far off the temperature. Heaters are starting to get warm. Really by now they should be quite hot, going by that temperature gauge, but we'll see. I missed it, but the thermostat opened and it vanished, which is good. That's good, that's what we want. That's a good thing. Heaters are starting to get warmer. Temperature gauge is probably about 80 something. So that's good. It should be a bit hot on that really though. That should be on full. I thought I had that on full. Alright, let's see. It's warm. It should be hotter than that. Stick a bit more in now. Haven't got room for a little bit more. That's not leaking again yet. That's hot now at the bottom. Top one is roasting. That's good. Let's top this up and see what happens. That's how bad that is, look. That air screw, I'll show you. That's the air screw there, look. That's in all the way, look. It won't go no further in, that is in all the way. Fuel screw is there. And if I take that out any further, I think it's going to fall out. That's how bad the air leak is, I suppose. At least the fan's started working now then. And it's been sitting here now ticking over for probably 15 minutes. Holding a good temperature. Holding not even at 90. The fan's coming in at about, I don't know, 80 something, not even 90. And it's not overheating. The fan, I've turned the fans off just to see what happens, because I wanted to see if it was going to overheat. But I can't get the heaters to get hot, so I'm fairly certain that heater valve snapped off again. But you never know, we might still have an air leak, I don't know. We'll see. I think we're all okay for now though, that leak stopped. Which is good. Happy days. Well, I've driven around the block. I'm fairly confident that it is bled. I think, I don't know. It doesn't seem to be getting hot, it drives fine. It does get colder, a bit colder than I think I'd like it to when you're driving. But at least it's not overheating, and when it's ticking over, you know, it's the fan comes in and goes off, which didn't happen before. That's, you know, for ages that never happened. So I'm going to leave it there as far as that goes. I'm going to have to try and find a rebuild kit for the old carburetor. I think I should be able to get that fairly easy. Let's go and have let's go indoors. Let's go in the garage and have a look to see if we can look through that Haynes manual and find out what carburetor we've got, and we can find a kit for it. It'll run a lot better once it's rebuilt. It's not going to do anything to do with the cooling, but it'll help it. Just something for you lot. It's not something I'm particularly bothered about or overthinking. You know me, I'm not really one for overthinking, but just something for you lot to sort of have a think about, right? So the heaters are not, I would say they're just slightly warm personally. I mean, before they were red hot. I've got it going up here now. Before, after I fixed that valve, they were red hot, really hot, and it was great. Now they're just slightly lukewarm, right? Now if it was snapped off, when I put this to cold, that shouldn't change at all. But if I give it a couple of seconds, I mean, it could just be me thinking I'm feeling it when I ain't, because I want to feel it, if that makes any sense. But it seems to be going colder, but not by much. I am still leaning towards that the top of that valve snapped off again, because I only super glued it and there's a chance it's probably let go. I mean, that should be stone cold now, because that's on full cold. So that should be stone cold come out of there, but I think it's gone slightly colder, but not cold as it should be. And if I put that now to full hot, that should be noticeable. Now, look, me being me, I think it is. I think it does get warmer. I don't know. The one and only true way to find out is to take the valve off again and have a look to see whether it has snapped, and I will be doing that. And the other thing is, if it was on cold, when I've got the heaters on as I have now, that shouldn't affect the temperature of the engine, because it's not actually extracting any heat, because that's how the heaters in your car work. There's a heater matrix in the dash, which is essentially a radiator or a heat exchanger. You turn the heater on, it's just a fan sucking the heat out of the engine and blowing it at you. So it will make the engine run cooler when you've got the heaters on. It shouldn't affect it because they're not cold. I mean, they're not hot. However, it does affect it. When I've got the heaters on, it goes down to there and it never goes any higher than that. when I turn the heaters off, the temperature does go higher, and then the fan comes on. So, yeah, tricky one. You lot have a think about that, chew on that for a few days. But anyway, the only way to find out, I'm going to take the valve off. I'm not going to do that anytime soon because I've got other stuff to do, and as long as the engine is fine, summer's coming along, I don't need heat, so I'm going to mend it at some point in the summer. I'm going to try and get the right correct valve from Coastal Motorhomes. Oh yeah, I forgot, didn't I? I mentioned the catastrophic leak damage. Right, so I don't really know how I noticed it. I just looked over here one day and I thought, that wallpaper seems a bit crinkly. What's going on there then? And it actually feels a lot drier than it did, so maybe what I did to mend it worked. I wonder if these are loose. I didn't check them screws actually, but all around there, and it seeped. It's actually a lot drier than it was. It was bloody, I mean, it was ringing. It was like you push on it and it was like you're pushing into jelly. All underneath. Oh, that's still quite soggy. Yeah, that's still soggy. That's gone all the way down there. I don't know how far it's gone down. I haven't looked. It's probably all the way down there. Yeah, I don't know how far down. I ain't gone into the wardrobe. But so what I've done is I've run a bead of Sikaflex on the outside along the top of the window, all the way along it, and a bit down and a bit down, because it's obviously leaking in from the top of the window. Because I thought it might have been leaking from the roof, but it's not. So it's obviously leaking from the top of the window. But this is, like I say, it's not as bad as it was. What's the other side like? The other side was terrible as well. Yeah, that's still quite soggy there. Under there, you can see where it's. That's not so bad now. It's obviously drying out. I've got the dehumidifier in here. But yeah, I have to check them screws, make sure they're tight. But I can't remember. I don't think this side was touched when I had the new roof put on. It was only the other side. So this hasn't been touched. But actually I've got a little screwdriver here now. I wonder if that'll fit in there. Will that fit in there? Yeah, that screws. These screws I think are tight. Because I had a trouble with these before, where the screws, they would work their way out as you're driving along and the window would start flapping around. But I glued all the windows in, so, and I've done the screws up as well, so, but it must have been leaking along that window. It's dry above it. I know that bit of wallpaper looks wet, but it's not, it's just peeled off. I think it was wet in the past, but it's not, it's bone dry now. Oh, it's a bit wet here. Oh no. It's a bit wet there. Ah. Yeah. I know where that leak was coming from. And I've mended that now. You can see the holes where I was putting the damp meter on it, look. And I'll show you where that leak was coming from. I know it now. I thought it wasn't, because I thought it was leaking up here and running along. But yeah, I think I know now. Well, I knew anyway because I sealed it up, but what I didn't realise it was wet here up the top. And there's a hole on the outside. Let me show you. There's a hole there. I filled it full of silicone Sikaflex the other day, and I run the bead all the way along down there. But that might be leaking there as well. So I'll have to take all of this off. But it seems to have fixed it for now anyway. Right, so in the book we've got, tells you the carburetor. So it's a Solex 34 PBISA 16, and it's fitted. That's what we've got. The 170B. We haven't got a 170C, I don't think. But I can't remember now. But anyway, I can go and have a look at the engine number. I just can't remember what one it is. It's either a C or a B. It's definitely a 170, but I can't remember which one. Anyway, yeah. So it tells us what carburetor we got. So I can look that up, and then I can go and get a rebuild kit, and we can get that carburetor rebuilt. We've got the jets in here. Don't know whether this blooming camera actually focuses on these. Does it actually focus? Don't know, I don't think it does. Hopefully you can kind of read that. Anyway, tells you everything we need to know there regarding a carburetor. We've got the Venturi bore. It says single barrel down drive carburetor, as we know anyway. It tells you the main jet. It's either 130 or 127.5. the air correction jet, idle jet, you know, constant CO fuel jet. It's all in there, and it tells you where they all are, pictures and diagrams. It's a very handy book, this one. I've seen people, it tells you everything you need to know. I see people, they put this book down, you know, but I think it's a bloody good, you know, as far as you need to know, every piece of information is actually in there. And Haynes, or however you want to say it, Heinz is baked beans, isn't it? Haynes, they didn't, to my knowledge, they didn't make a Talbot Express manual for some reason. So it's Peter Rusk, the old pocket mechanic, that done one, and I find it good. A lot of people on the forums and that say these ain't any good, that misses bits out and all that, but to be honest, it gives you a good enough guide to actually do what you need to do, and obviously you've got to use a bit of common sense to do any bits in between. But yeah, I wonder what that was that fell down behind me or something, and it was the missus throwing stuff through the door, trying to get my attention. I'm thinking, Jesus, what's that? Anyway, yes, there we go. So that will be something coming up. I'm not going to say soon. I'd like to do it at some point in the summer, because I don't like messing around in the cold. I'd rather mess around with the carburetor when it's a bit warmer. But for now, it runs more than adequately. I went round the block with it, even with that air screw turned all the way in, you know. But I might be able to do some adjustments. I'll have to read that book properly to see if there's any other little screws, because obviously you've got idle screws, which the tick-over screw really is what it's called in this country, and all that kind of stuff. The constant CO screw and all that stuff. I might be able to have a little bit of a jiggle around and get it to run even better with that air leak. But we definitely know it's got an air leak, because we saw it with our own eyes when I sprayed the Easy Start around the carburetor. That shouldn't make any difference. If there's no leaks coming in from the outside, I know exactly what's leaking, because it's common that it happens. The rod that goes through for the throttle, there's a rod that goes through. It's probably got a name, I don't know what it's called, but there's a seal on it. Or sometimes if the seal's gone completely, it will start to wear away the actual casing of, you know, and that flaps around. It sucks air through that rod. You lot will know what I'm talking about. I dare say you lot are going to tell me what the rod's called and all the other information and proper technical names and all that bollocks, stuff that I don't really ever worry about. I like to worry about what's in front of me. Is that a leaking? Yes, fix it. What it's called, I don't care. But anyway, so that is what's leaking, it is that. So hopefully it's just a seal that goes in there. I can take the old seal out and put a new one in, and that'll stop that leak with any luck. We'll find out when I try and find a kit. I've never worked on one of those carburetors before. Done plenty of carburetors, but not one of those Solex, whatever number that was, I don't think. Not to my knowledge anyway, but we'll find out. We'll go through it together. That carburetor, I wanted to try and find twins. I wanted to try and get twin Webers or some kind of twin carb, but trying to find, I don't want to mess around making manifolds. I don't care what you lot say, make a manifold. I'm not going to mess around and make bloody manifolds and all this bollocks. If I can find a kit or one that someone's taken off of, one that's twin carbs with a manifold that bolts straight on, direct bolt on, no fanning around, then I'll do it. But I haven't been able to find a kit or nothing like that yet. So it's not going to happen. Maybe at one point in my life I will decide, yeah, I'll make a manifold, because I can do it, I know how to, but I just don't want to. I know that sounds a bit snobbish, doesn't it? But I haven't got the time to put it that way. You know, I'm not a professional manifold maker. It's going to take me a bit longer than a professional would. I could go to there's a place down the road, I forget what they're called. They specialise in carbureted engines, you know, old classic cars and anything with a carburetor and just anything old really. I could go there and say, look, I want this. Can you help me find some twin carbs and a manifold and that? Or can you make me the manifold? I could do that, but it's going to cost a hell of a lot of money. So I'd rather do it myself and just find a kit that's pre-made. You know, whatever. Anyway, that's enough of that. Thanks for watching, you lot. I'll see you on the next one. And at least we finally got, well, I think at least we finally got it bled. We just have to work out that heat. I'm going to ring up Coastal Motorhomes next week. Find out when and if they're going to get the correct valve, heater valve. I'm just going to buy a new one. I couldn't buy the new one before because they only sold that one that I got. Lot to do, but the main thing is it runs and drives. So there we go. I'll see you lot later on. All the best. Take care, you lot.